Good morning, everyone. Mike and Corey are back here today. We actually got some good news. We got some green markets. Um, the negotiations are happening, as you might expect. A lot of negotiations are happening. So I'll cover that, show you where the markets are at, give you an update. We have our NCAA bracket winner, and we'll announce who that is. And I'll
Was
tell you,
Steve our only guy with Houston? Our only player
yeah,
with Houston?
no, some other people had Houston. So
Oh,
Houston lost, so therefore Steve did not win. So that would be one thing, is if Houston would have won, Steve would have won, and
yeah, that's what I was
we
watching.
disqualify the whole thing. But then I'll also give an update on our stock market pick brackets, how those are going, which will end today as well. So we'll have that result tomorrow. And then Corey's going to talk about the exciting topic of stagflation. It's like the worst thing. It's like stagnant and inflation, and we don't want that. So, but before we get started, this is a financial education presentation. You must do your own due diligence on anything that you hear in this presentation. More disclaimer information can be found on ankerstarwealth.com, and the opinions expressed are mine and Corey's alone. So let me show you some good news. We need some good news. The last 3 days, um, what it was Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and yesterday have been brutal on the market. Um, so we are seeing the Dow rebounding, and I don't usually like to use the Dow, but 1,000 points, it's the biggest number. It's up 2.8%, S&P up 2.8. We'll look at it in a second. Nasdaq 3.3. Basically, that negotiations are happening. Now, whether, this is negotiations are complicated. There's a lot of discussion in a negotiation. I've been through a lot of corporate negotiations. You don't put things out on tweets and things like that, but that's the way these things go. When it comes to what Trump tweeted out or Truth Socialed out, I don't even know. But anyways, that he's had calls with South Korea and that China wants to make a deal. And of course, you'll see other news that says China absolutely won't make a deal. That's negotiations. You have to come in with the hard line and get somewhere. Hey, I'll be the first to say that this tariffs it's been the market has reacted surprisingly bad, overwhelmingly bad to these negotiations so far. I'll be the first to say it's been very disappointing how much the market's sold off on this. It feels kind of strange because and this is what I said to our team the other day, is like COVID. When COVID came out and the markets went down 30 some percent, there was always the hope, because all of the world is going to unite against COVID. Like, it was a common goal. But with this thing, where it's different about tariffs to me, is that all the world's not going to unite on this. The people that are getting better deals, the people that don't want to pay tariffs, they're not going to be, oh, yeah, we agree with the United States on this. So it feels more like it's United States. And even within the United States, it's a subsection, obviously Trump, but that's for it. And then part of the country's against it. So that's where this differs a little bit to me. It's not as like there's going to be an instant quick fix. But I do think that once we start to see the first couple big countries come to the table and negotiate, I think the markets will react favorably, and this will. I wish I could say it was just going to be like, oh, back to normal. It won't be, but at least improve off these negative sentiments. So let's take a look at the market. Here's where we're at. Let's go to yeah, it's still up about 2.9%. The S&P, you can see the VIX, which is the red, the fear index down almost 20%. So this is all good news, at least for those of us that are investors. I will say things are still quite a bit on sale. I'm going to click on just the S&P 500. Now it's up over 3%. On the year, it's down 11.47%. And it even went up into February. So it's really down like almost 15% since February. That's only a month and about mid-February, so about a month and a half. So if you are still thinking about funding your 2024 Roth IRA, get your money in, because it's due in the next week, before when the IRS cuts that deadline off. And you're getting things at 15% off. So that's a good deal. Now we don't know what it'll happen from here, going forward. We don't know what it'll do next week. It could drop, but certainly getting it in now versus 6 weeks ago. I hate to say it, it was you're getting a sale now. Apologize if you got it in 6 weeks ago. The market will reach new highs someday, whether it's this year or it's a month from now. I have no idea, but eventually it will be fine. So Corey, are you back out of Tariff Mageddon? Are you still in tariff shock, or?
The news flow was pretty interesting, but before the call, you and I were just talking about how I mean, how many people on earth know how this is all going to play out? And it's zero. It's not even one guy. They say that it's the one guy. It's the one. I don't even think it's the one guy. I don't think anybody knows. So what you do with that information, like Steve said yesterday, we've had clients reaching out wanting to put money to work, and there's smart ways to do that. Mike and I have talked about the dollar cost averaging benefits. So long term, these are some good opportunities, and but I was following it, Mike.
All right. And I did hear a comment. I was listening to a podcast yesterday, and it was talking about tariffs. And of course, everyone says tariffs are terrible and they're bad and they're inflationary. And I'm, I don't know if they're, I won't say they're totally terrible, but they certainly are inflationary. But here's the question: if tariffs are so bad, then why do all these other countries have tariffs on the United States? I thought that was a very good question to ask. Like if they're such a bad thing, then why do we have tariffs at all? Why does everybody just have no tariffs? That would be a good question to ask, and I'm sure it comes up in negotiations. Is like, hey, we're just leveling the playing field, even though the United States is the biggest buyer and certainly has the biggest advantage. So, I'll just say that when it comes to negotiating, I believe the United States is negotiating in a side of power, and that we have advantage because we are the buyer, we the United States. So anyways, we'll see where this all goes. Okay, so on to other fun things. Let's announce our NCAA bracket winner. It is Scott Nieberg. Picked Florida to win. Anybody picked Florida jumped up to the top 7. Steve was in contention. If Houston would have won last night, Steve would have won. But Scott pulls it out. At halftime, Houston was up. But then when I woke up this morning and looked at the score, I was like, oh, wow. So anyway, Scott won. Let's see. Honorable mention: Joey, Marty, Hal, Zach, Sean, and hey, my son Spencer. He jumped past me just because he picked the winner. And most importantly, looking 14th place, Mike, and my wife was behind me. So I finally got ahead of her. Remember, she was leading. So I got bragging rights on her. So Scott wins the Silver Bowl, and I'm sure Steve will make sure that gets to him. So that the Ankerstar Silver Bowl, and we need that Silver Bowl now. We need a bull market. And then the other brackets we have are the financial brackets. And here is the standings on this. We are down to the final 2. The final 4 was United Healthcare, which nobody has. MasterCard, Cindy and Jaden had it. Costco, Cindy, Kelly, and Joel. And Salesforce, which Steve had. Salesforce, Advanced, and United Health. So in the finals, we have Salesforce, which Steve has, and United Health, which nobody has. But we're looking at total points of reaching the final 4 semis and finals. So it is a tie right now between Cindy with 2 points and Steve with 2 points. So here is what we need to root for. United Health wins, Cindy and Steve tie, but we'll give Cindy the tiebreaker. If Salesforce wins, then Steve wins. And, of course, we got to look and see how those companies are doing today. So I think I already sorted it. So
wait, is today the day?
Today's the day.
Because United Health is it's a slam dunk today.
Yeah, I was gonna say CRM Salesforce is up 3.8%, and United Health is up 7.8%. So if we locked it down right now, it would be a tie, but we give Cindy the tiebreaker. So Steve is rooting for CRM. I don't think he would rush out and buy, several billions of dollars of it to try to influence the price. but anyways, that's where we stand on that. Okay, so those are the positives. Let's go to the concerns of the downside, which is stagflation.
Yeah, so just as Mike introduced at the beginning of the show, stagflation is a combination of a stagnating economy, so things leveling off, potentially even trending in a negative direction, while prices are increasing and you're getting inflationary pressures. We do have the ingredients for that, which is very rare, and it's very rare, but the ingredients are there. So where could the inflation come back? You see inflation hasn't been totally killed. The 2% goal hasn't really been met, but we've seen a moderation. That has moderated significantly and has leveled off for the most part. But where could we get more inflation? If these companies pass tariff pressures or tariff costs on to consumers, you will see prices increase. You'll see some inflation. So that would show up on these readings. So, okay, we got the inflation check. Now, again, people are arguing that, there are really no tariffs coming. It's all negotiation. Okay, I mean, I hope so. But for now, we have to at least assume that the tariffs will be in effect as stated. And I think it's tonight at midnight, right? Tonight.
I'm not sure which deadline we're covering, but
I
yeah,
think
that's one of many.
the tariffs announced on Liberation Day were going into effect tonight at midnight. So then after the inflation ingredient, you can see from a peak, of course, does go along with some of those inflation. It's not like things were going great in July of 2022, but you are seeing wage growth come down. And if that continues to come down, let's say wage growth gets below the inflation rate, well then, there you go. That's where the rubber meets the road on kind of that stagflation thesis. So we aren't there yet, but we do have the ingredients. That's really all I want to hit on. There's also an element of unemployment that plays into the real stagflation thesis overall, but those are the two rates I'm looking at: wage growth and inflation. And if those pass each other, then you're headed to the stagflation destination.
Well, I'll just say I experienced some painful inflation results this morning as I went in to renew the registration on my car, and was, it's like, oh, that's a lot more than I remember it. I didn't pull up at what it was a couple of years ago to see, but cars, inflation hits us across all places. So definitely inflation right now is right around 3, a little bit less. Originally coming into this year, it was expected the Fed would get it down to 2. The biggest driver of inflation has been housing costs and auto insurance. And on the housing cost side, guess what? If interest rates come down and people pay more for houses, then technically housing costs go up. So I don't know that we really want housing costs to go down. I mean, I know if you're buying a house, you do, but if you own a house, you don't want the value of your house to go down. So that's a tough one to tackle. And on the auto insurance side, which it's been a very high over the last, I want to say 3 years, it's been like 20% year over year. With that, a lot of it's newer cars, newer technology, and any little accident, there's electronics. It's not like the old days where you just drop and replace a bumper. And you're like, oh, it's $1,000. It's like there's electronics and sensors and cameras and all that stuff. So now when you get a little fender bender, it's $5,000. And appropriately, auto insurance goes up because they got to pay the bills. So I'm not defending saying auto insurance is all, like they're not they're not. I don't think they're gouging us because there's competition out there. They can't gouge. There's not just one company. But you
It's a
drive.
good business to be in.
You
We know
drive.
that.
Well, you drive. I don't want to say fancier, but you drive cars with more electronics and cameras and sensors. Accidents are going to cost more. So, and then let's just hope it's not the texting and driving. So these are the things that drive inflation that we're watching on a individual basis. So anyways, with that, we'll find out tomorrow if Steve steals the stock market championship from Cindy. We'll be sitting on pins and needles. Log in at 4 o'clock today and look at CRM versus UNH, and you'll know who wins. So otherwise, we'll cover it tomorrow. Thanks, everybody. Bye.
Bye.